we go.
It's too low.
That's not too close. Hello, everyone. Hopefully we have everybody in there. Yep, there we go. We are on. We are live. All that kind of fun stuff. How are y'all doing tonight? Welcome to Box Talk with Moonie Dee. We are excited because tonight's show is going to be a little bit different than what we normally do. Yeah, we like different, right? It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we are actually going to be talking about some different kinds of things.
Yeah.
Different, but in the same field, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tonight we are actually going to be discussing personal UFO and alien encounters. I'm also going to be talking about how we feel that it affects the overall consciousness. We're going to touch on some government conspiracies. We're going to touch on quite a few different things. And welcome to everybody who's tuning in, by the way. I see everybody coming in here. We got, just kind of go down the line, Joanne, James, Kay, LaJoyce, Michelle, John Sloan, Dorothy, Elizabeth Hunter, Henny, Sally, yep, Baytown, Texas, what's going on? Gabriel,
sharing our thingamajigger.
Tammy, Patty, Gabriel. Hey guys, make sure to please share the video. Hey Sherry Ann, everybody share. Let everybody know that you're hanging out with us tonight and we're doing something special. Yeah, we're kind of going into X-Files territory tonight, so this should be pretty interesting. Hey Michelle, hey Chrissy. So yeah, I'll kind of give you guys a reason for our sudden switch, I guess you could say, of why we're doing what we're doing.
Sudden switch.
Hey Nora, Clancy, yes. We ended up doing readings this weekend at a place called For Heaven's Sake here in Denver, and it was a great event. Had a lot of fun. It was packed. Had a lot of fun doing it. But we ended up doing a reading for a lady, and it really it brought me back to a chapter in my life that was really important. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Stan Romanek and his situation, his family, all the things he's been through, what he's going through now, I actually started, I met Stan. I'll give you guys a quick explanation on this, and they call him Starseed, guys. So I was invited down to Colorado Springs, Colorado by a mutual friend at the time who basically told me that there was an individual in his family who were having some paranormal issues. So my father and I traveled down to Colorado Springs to go meet with him, and we met Stan and his wife Lisa, and were quickly shocked by the information that started coming through. It turned out that this wasn't a ghost case at all. This was strictly a UFO case, I mean an abductee case, and he showed me a video and some evidence that he had, and my father and I were just stunned by the time it was all over with. You know, it wasn't just him making claims. You know, we were actually seeing things for ourselves. They had professors from Berkeley and other people that were talking about this case and how amazing it really was. So we, we did the investigation down there and had an experience where, for a long story short, I can't really get into all the details, but basically what happened was he had talked to us about a woman that would actually call them and protect them and tell them, where they needed to go next, where the money was going to come from, that kind of thing. And, when you hear that, you kind of take it with a grain of salt, sure, yeah, whatever. Well, we heard this woman's voice come through the ghost box, and it was the very first Frank's box. We actually heard this voice come through, and it was intense. It was almost a robotic female voice that came through, and shocked me. And had a few other experiences while we were down there, and on the way home got a call from Stan about some other things that had happened. Long story short, I'm at my home a couple of weeks later, and I receive a 10-minute voicemail from the same individual who's telling me if I'm planning on being involved in this case, that I have to prepare myself for the dangers and trials and tribulations that go along with being involved with Starseed. And it was pretty intense. So I'd worked with Stan quite a bit. I've seen some things that I didn't think were possible with my own eyes in person. We ended up doing more sessions with him, ended up doing a session at his new home that was up north. And God is my witness, had government helicopters flying over the top of his house at the time that we were doing the sessions, and a block that came over the top of the ghost box where the transmission was completely interrupted. And yeah, so and I've had some personal experiences as well. Talked about these things before, and yeah, so now the greatest way to discredit someone. Stan came out very publicly about his evidence, and there was a documentary that came out. If you guys saw that, and the documentary, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think it really represented everything correctly, but that's just my opinion. But he was out on David Letterman. He was on Larry King. He really came out to try to disclose what was going on, in his opinion. And when you do that, when you go up against the government and the shadow government and a lot of people who don't want that information out there, you're going to get a quick and abrupt, for lack of a better term, kick in the ass. They're going to make sure that they discredit you as quickly as possible. So, for those who don't know, and I found out about this way after it happened, but Stan was brought up on child pornography charges, and from what I understand, there was no evidence. It was all hearsay. There was really nothing to it. Of course, all of his computers were confiscated, and then he was later charged with the crime, and he's actually in prison right now. And one thing I can tell you, doing what I do, meeting as many people as I do, and whether you really believe in psychics or not, I have a very good sense of character. I can really kind of judge people. And one thing I'll tell you is that Stan might be a little strange. He might come off a little weird to some people, but he's no child pornographer, no child molester. All these things that have been thrown at him, they're BS charges. And I stand with him. I stand behind him because I know what kind of person he is. I know what kind of person his wife and his family are. So, it's just amazing how these things happen with the government. So, that being said, I know I'm up on a soapbox tonight, guys. Bear with me. So, I've had my own experiences. I talked a little bit about it in the book that my mom and I wrote, Ghost Box. There's a chapter in there, and there could have been many more, about my experience with what would be considered extraterrestrials, interdimensional creatures, whatever you want to call them. But the one thing I can show you is physical evidence. Now, I don't know if I can put this on camera, but I'm going to try. You guys can see right here, there's a little bump on my hand, and it's basically right on my wrist. And I have one here, and then I have another one right here. And if you put the two together, they are basically identical side by side to one another. And we started working with a member of Stan's family again this week and doing a reading for him. Had a lot of information that came through the box, a lot of very, I don't know, they were trying to warn us is what it was.
Yes, they were.
And these two bumps that I've seen on my arm, I believe are some sort of foreign objects. I've been to the doctor several times. They cannot identify what these things are. They're solid. Anytime that the doctor tries to cut into them, they move. They move away from the scalpel and they can't get to them. The interesting thing is that occasionally these things will just break open. And today, lucky for me, I had a very weird night, but Dee was with me in the car and had a situation where she noticed that one had broken open, and there was what almost looked like, what would you say, like a wire or a string that came popping out of it.
Crazy. Never seen anything like it.
So she actually pulled part of it out and kept it, actually saved it. One of the very few times that anybody's actually ever been able to do that and save this thing. But there's been several reports of these things being almost a combination of biological and non-organic circuitry almost that goes into these things. And this is something that's been with me for a while now. And I did get these two things after I started working with Stan. So we're not sure exactly what those things are, but it is interesting timing that we had passed on a message to Stan's family. And about that time, I had this thing crack open once again. And we were talking today as we were driving up north in Colorado about the chemtrails that everybody continues to see here in the sky.
And they're crazy, guys. Let me just tell you, the amount of chemtrails that are seen, it's crazy how many are out there.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And when we're talking about the chemtrail aspect of things, there's a lot of different theories as to why those things are out there and what they're doing and all that kind of fun stuff. But the fact is that one thing that we do know right now is that NASA has just recently admitted.
Yes, they have admitted that, and there's several articles out there that they've admitted, NASA and other government agencies have admitted that the chemtrails are in fact real, that they are spraying the population with things. And one of the things that they have admitted that's being sprayed is lithium. And if you look that up, it's a cancer causing chemical, an agent that causes cancer, and also very, very bad for people with breathing problems. So lithium is one of the chemicals that's being sprayed in the chemtrails.
Yeah, and there's another thing that's happening. And as your father always used to say, look up, look up.
Look up, look up. My dad used to always say that. He would text us all. He would post it up on his Facebook. He would just put, look up, look up. And that just meant, because I mean, this was years back, and he was already noticing. He was one of the first ones that would start noticing these chemtrails, in the sky. And people used to make fun of my dad, and they would say, oh, whatever, you're crazy, or you're being paranoid, or they're nothing, and he would say, nope, look up. If you look up and see what's going on, and if you research it, you'll see that there's things that are actually happening. And yeah, it's true. um these things were actually up, happening. There's pictures that he has on his Facebook. I mean, he's not with us anymore. May he rest in peace. But it was something that he was very passionate about. He was always trying to get us to notice these things and to pay attention. And he would tell us, look up, don't have your head down. Don't, he would say, this is why they have us like this, to distract us from actually seeing what's happening, what they're spraying us with. And it's true, guys. It's true. If you look up and you see the grids that are being formed in the sky, almost like a matrix, it looks like.
Right.
It's crazy. So I don't know, have any of you noticed that, or how many of you out there that are listening have read about this, researched it, seen it, know about chemtrails, have experiences with it? What do you guys know about it?
Well, Mary Judd says I seen chemtrails today here in Florida. So
Today was a big day for them out here
today
in
was a
Denver.
big. We had a massive amount driving through Denver. We were out and about all day, and there
Hmm.
wasn't a time today that we didn't see a large number of these
Oh my
chemtrails that
God,
were
it
out
was
there.
crazy.
Now, there's all kinds of theories as to what these things are. Are they being used for weather control, weather as a weapon, population control, mind control? Because the lithium also, not the lithium, but what was the other agent?
Barium,
Barium,
barium.
which causes schizophrenia, correct?
Yes, and bipolar disorder.
Bipolar disorder. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that are actually being sprayed down on us right now, and in honesty, we are guinea pigs in all this. God knows why. Nobody's quite sure why um, this is happening for sure. There's a lot of
Hmm.
different theories to it, but going along with that and tying back into what we were just talking about with the UFO aspect of things, um, there's something, and I don't know if you guys are. We'll look in the chat room to see what you guys think about this thing. Um, but we've seen a lot lately, more so than usual, especially since we've been out on the road. There's a lot of these clouds that are out there that just don't make sense. Now, the reason I'm saying that, a lot of people sorry, Steven's back here digging. Uh, there's a lot of people out there who will matrix with clouds and see faces and all those kinds of things.
Hmm.
But Dee is an expert on clouds and how they're formed and the different types and things like that. And as we were driving through Utah and Nevada, we ran into a lot of wide open space. If you guys have ever made that trek through northern Nevada and Utah, and we were kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And I started pointing out to her, hey, look at that cloud, look at that cloud, look at that cloud.
Hmm.
And there's all these clouds out there that have this very strange, almost oval shape that go along with them. And if
Hmm.
you watch very closely with these things, you'll see that they'll sit there. But if you're able to stare at one long enough, you will see what looks like a metal object
Yes,
that will fly beyond it just for a quarter of a second,
it's
one
true.
second,
It's
and
true.
then the cloud will follow
You
it.
have to pay attention to what's going up, looking up. You have to pay attention to what's going on up there. If you take the time to really start noticing, guys, and you'll see what we're talking about. Hmm. Go on. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. And then you see these things, and then immediately around it, you see the chemtrails.
Hmm.
So today we saw something I don't think either one of us have ever seen, but it was fascinating. And Dee actually has the pictures. Maybe she can post them up
Yeah.
somewhere for you to take a look at. This really fascinated me. So there we have what looks like a grid of chemtrails just everywhere across the Denver
Hmm.
sky. Then behind it, you have all these different, what we're going to call UFO clouds that are all out there kind of just in formation over the mountains. And then in addition to that, which I still think is the most fascinating thing I've ever seen, was what looked like a chemtrail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a black trail going down.
Oh God, that was crazy.
And the
Yeah.
plane that was spraying the chemtrail
Was
was actually
following the
following
path.
the path. Something created a black, darkened path for the plane to follow down and leave the chemtrail on. And we saw that twice today.
We saw it twice today, and the crazy thing about that chemtrail was there was black, almost, almost as if somebody had marked a path
Right.
for the planes to follow, and these paths were black. There was more than one path, and the planes that were spraying were following those paths that had already been laid out. I took pictures of it, and we're going to be posting it up on our Box Talk website. Um, but it's crazy, guys. You know, you guys need to start paying more attention, looking up, because all these things that are happening, that they're doing, that we don't know about, that they don't tell us about, all these things, they do affect us. They affect us, in our health, and also on the mass consciousness that we were talking about. it
Right.
it affects that as well, and it's one of those things that we need to wake up. Wake
Mhm.
up and know what's happening, educate ourselves, be alert to what's happening around us, and that's where we have to become stronger and build ourselves up, in our spiritual path, to be able to sort of fight against this the way we can.
Yeah, we're all about no darkness allowed and ascension, but you know when it comes down to it, we have to be smart and we have to be aware of what's happening right now. We're not coming to you guys tonight with an answer. We're not coming to you
Mm-mm.
saying this is what we're going to do and this is how it's going to work. But everybody needs to be conscious of these things because
Mm-hmm.
if everyone starts talking about this, if everyone is more conscious, if everyone starts taking pictures and videos and things like
Mm-hmm.
that and starts posting it online, I think that with that consciousness, whoever is doing this, and I'll leave that all for you guys to decide who that might be, but I think if we say, hey, we see what's happening, we know what's going on, it may slow down or maybe even stop what's happening out there. I think it's important that we're all aware and for our own, humankind, for well-being, for our animals, for everything, we need to make sure that we're looking up and that we're putting this information out for everyone.
And if you were to go out and just Google chemtrails, you're going to find the vast majority of articles are things shooting this down, um, saying, oh, it's a false conspiracy theory.
False
It's
positive.
yeah, false claim. But if you really, really start digging deep into it and do real research and look at people that have, and it's difficult, but you can find these, and I will start posting up links to these articles that are legitimate. Some of these, and the scary thing is, and some of these have been taken down because they're from people that used to work for these government agencies, and they put up, they put their work and their research up, and then it gets taken down. I've got some screenshots of some of those articles, and I want to post those up, and I don't know if they'll last on our page,
Right.
but yeah, you have to be really careful because there's some things that they don't want out there, that they don't want us to know about. So we thought it was interesting, and we really wanted to touch on this topic because it's something that we've actually been experiencing a lot, especially seeing, the cloud, like we were talking about, almost like if these UFOs are now using these. I know we're gonna sound like crazy.
But
We
we
sound
sound
crazy.
crazy
We do. I
anyway. It's
know we
okay.
sound crazy, guys, and sorry if you guys are like, "Oh, what's up with these two whacks?" But the thing is, if you look up and you start seeing the way some of these clouds are formed, they're not regular clouds. They're not normal clouds. And I'm not talking about the chemtrails. I'm talking about the ones that look like disc shape. It's almost like it's a cloaking technology for these UFOs that are up there. And you can see it. You can see it. And it was funny because my comment to Chris was, "Oh my God, these ETs must think that we're stupid." Because you look up and you could see it. But it's like a cloaking technology, and that they've cloaked themselves in the clouds, and it's like we're just supposed to be, oh, it's just a normal cloud. But when you really do your research and you look into it, you can see there's more going on. And
Right.
all I can hear is my dad in my head saying, "Look up, look up."
Right. I want to bring up a point Darian has in here. He says, what makes you think that they won't take us out if we're on something? Well, here's the thing. Yeah, you do put yourself at risk when you're in a small group and you
Mm-hmm.
start talking about these things. Look at what happened to Stan. Let's be honest about that. He came forward with some of the best evidence ever. But uh, the fact is if everyone starts doing it, they really lose the power. They really lose their power to discredit because if everyone's seeing it, everybody's taking the pictures, everybody's getting the videos, and everybody's just trying to, make sure that they're doing the best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take the focus away from one individual. So what we really need is a group mentality to make this work the right way. And we're trying to do this for the best possible intentions. We just want to make sure everybody out there is safe, that your kids are safe, your animals are safe. And if you think we're crazy, that's okay. A lot of people do. That's fine. But we see a lot of things that other people don't, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that.
Oh, look good. Look, Mary, if you want to read her comment, Mary Bokenkamp Judd says, would love to read more on this again. Thank you. See them a lot here. What is that?
Fort Myers,
Florida
Florida
chemtrails.
chemtrails.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna start posting more of these things up, and we wanted to bring this. We decided to we switched the topic of the show today, and I was like, I wish we could bring somebody else on with us that could talk about this. But I said, you know what, we have enough experience with it. We've seen enough of this. We've experienced a lot. So let's just go. Let's have a topic like we always do with our listeners, get you guys involved. We want to read your comments. What's your experience with this? What have you guys seen, heard? I'm just curious, how many, first of all, how many of you have seen these chemtrails? And if you can, throw it in there in the comments and tell us if you've seen many of these and where you're from, so we can sort of start seeing the different locations that they're being sprayed at.
It seems like it's everywhere. We were just making that comparison. The different places we've traveled just on this trip. We've talked about driving out towards from Brownsville all the way through Texas up through to Northern California, Arizona. And we've just kind of made mental notes as we've gone through. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems like the larger populated areas have more chemtrails.
Oh yeah.
Denver so far to me has been the most that I've seen. But as we travel to Boston here in the coming weeks, I'm interested to start looking up there and take some more pictures up there
Oh,
to see what they're
definitely.
getting over in Boston.
I'm definitely going to post up the pictures that we took today just so that you guys can see them, zoom in on them, look at them. I'm going to post up and I'll put on there, here's the one with the black path. So you all can see it was crazy, you could see the black path in the sky, and then you could see where the chemtrail is sort of following that black path. So we're going to start posting all these pictures up because it's a totally different, I mean, paranormal, psychic, all that. It's amazing. It's good. It's the topic that we always talk about. But I mean, this UFO and these things that are happening, it's real, guys. It's real. It's out there. It's happening. You've got black government. You've got chemtrails. You've got all these different things. There are things that are out there and that we're dealing with and that they're happening to us.
One reading comment.
Sure.
Hi, Joanne, Salmon. This happened like 18 years ago. I was driving my son to school, and above my car on the left side of me, far away distance, was like a white cloud, and it kind of followed me a long ways, and then it disappeared. Was that mean? Because it's always been on my mind. Yeah, if it bothers you, if it hits you in the gut, if it makes you feel, like something was going on, more than likely something was happening with that.
Hmm.
You know,
Definitely.
we've
I
seen
agree.
D and I in our discussions because we have some pretty deep talks and have had deep talks for a long time.
Hmm.
We've seen some pretty interesting stuff. And one of the first things we talked about when it came to the UFOs was the implants, number one.
Hmm.
And number two was these clouds, the UFOs being shielded in clouds. And there's a lot of videos online that you can see that are legitimate videos. They're not
Hmm.
photoshopped or anything like that, but you can actually see what we're talking about. And I encourage you guys to go take a look. And I think if you get a chance, if you start taking pictures just out of the windshield of your car,
Yeah.
if you start seeing these things, if you videotape something strange up in the cloud, post it to your timeline. Just let people know, hey, you don't have to give an opinion. Just say, saw something strange today. What do you think?
Yeah.
Just start putting those things out there because that's the way we're going to spread this information. That's the way we're going to be able to get the word out without coming across as total lunatics. Because
That's right.
that's really what they want us to do. They want to pigeonhole us as the woo woo crazy people,
It's true.
and tell the general public that that's the case.
Dan says, "Is it happening?" I think it's happening. What, Dan? What do you think is
I think it's
happening?
happening.
Oh.
And then let's see here. I'm going to read a few more.
Hmm.
We got Jeannie Sparks Fine. I've seen a lot more chemtrails over Eugene, Oregon skies than I have Seattle, Washington. We have them, but don't see as many grids up here. Okay, so right there, that's good information. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like the focus. Why is there a focus on one spot and another? And why is there the chemtrails and then these, strange shaped clouds that are always right next to the chemtrails? Are they leading this? Are these dark trails having anything to do with it? It's
Mm-hmm.
a
The
good
dark
question.
trail and the dark trails that lead the chemtrails, and then you've got the disc-shaped clouds and all these things. Yeah, these strange occurrences, you know?
Here's another good one from David Melby. He says, as an over-the-road truck driver, I do see a bunch. It seems that I see more after a storm, and I feel it's because they put stuff back in the air because the rain washes the chemicals away. Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because as a matter of fact, David, I've actually noticed the same thing. I have noticed that after a storm, the chemtrails do seem heavier. Um, so you're not the first one to make that observation, which, let's put that out there for people to start going out after a storm, look up and see if you notice these things, because it's funny, I've had that same thought, wondering, you know what, I wonder if the rainwater washes those chemicals away, so they've got to respray their chemicals up, up in the sky.
A couple more here. Elizabeth Hunter seen them in Vermont. Dan says that he's seen them at Hinsdale, right over the power grid or on the power grid. So
Hmm.
yeah, you got that. Let's see. Arlene Felder says, Chris and Dee, do you think that there will be an alien invasion?
Well, before we get into the alien invasion, I mean, we got to get up into the thing about disclosure. And what's your feeling, thoughts about disclosure?
Well, we've talked about disclosure
We
before.
have.
We've had a lot of these discussions. Here's my feeling and my impression of it. We're not talking United States government. We're talking about a world government and shadow
Exactly.
government and a lot of different things that are going on that are, I believe, 100% completely aware of the majority of what's happening beyond this earth. And I think that they've been in contact. I think that this has been something that's gone on for quite a while. And I think that and this is assumptions here. I've read large documents that have been sent to me in secret and things like that. But apparently, there have been treaties made. There's been agreements that have been made over time, and going back to Eisenhower and even further back than that. And I think that disclosure has to happen. I think it's already out there, and I think that these world governments and the shadow governments are trying to hold on to the last little bit of power that they have because um, whether you believe that these beings or all sorts of different beings are good, bad, indifferent, invading, helping, whatever the case might be, we have to realize that it's going to completely, once disclosure happens, it's going to completely change all the views that we have here on
That's
Earth.
true.
The government will mean nothing, church will mean nothing. It's going to completely reverse everything we've thought to this point when it becomes a reality. And I think there's going to be quite a few people out there who don't necessarily have an ability to look outside of the box. I don't think that they're going to survive the change. I just don't think they have that ability to do so. So, I think that we're being spoon fed information through media, through movies, through these sudden amazing NASA reports. It went from
Mm-hmm.
there could possibly be another planet in the solar system or in the galaxy that may be able to sustain life at some point. And now, if you watch anything that's out there, there's literally thousands of these Goldilocks planets that are out there.
Yeah,
And
that's
and,
true.
and this it's just an amazing technology that in the last year suddenly we've seen all these things for light years away, but now all of a sudden it's a reality.
And that's exactly what they call them, to the Goldilocks planet, where, because Earth is one of those Goldilocks planets where it's just right. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just right. It's in the right, it's positioned in the perfect spot. Everything's happening. The situation around the planet is just right to make it sustain life. And now, like you said, there's literally thousands of these Goldilocks planets that can sustain life out there in the galaxy.
Right, and there's also, I'm not trying to quote this because I don't know the exact thing, but basically NASA stated that they found on some planet, and I can't remember exactly which one it was. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but they believe there is a power grid space station of some sort that's not ours, it's not human, that they were actually able to go in on and see this thing in operation. They had no explanation for this thing whatsoever. So I think right now, you see the powers that be, the real powers that be that are out there,
Hmm.
are trying to find a way to ease us into the new reality and still maintain control. From a psychic sense, I have to tell you, I don't feel that they have any control whatsoever, nor did they ever really have that. They were only given
Right,
a false sense of security.
right,
So
right.
when this disclosure happens, it's going to be intense. It's going to be like nothing we could even ever imagine.
True. I agree with you. I want to read something from, hold on.
I'm going to read while you're looking. I'm going to say
Yeah.
Ricky Dawes says, social media makes it harder for the government to control the information we receive. That's why we are hearing more about UFOs now. Totally agree with you, Ricky. I think that that's exactly it. And they try to control the internet, they try to control the things that are out there, but they don't have the ability to do that.
I'm trying to get, because I know Kyle Merriman said that he had a personal UFO experience he would love to share.
Oh, great.
So Kyle, smile Kyle, if you're out there listening, share with us. I'm reading on here what, share what your experience is and we'll read it. We'll talk about it.
Let me touch base on something that was said too. I want to be clear about this. Truth will mean something. Life, other places, does not mean there is no God. No, I don't mean that at all. What I'm saying is that the systematic religions that are controlling people and doing it for profit will have no control over people.
Yeah.
We fully believe that there's a creation
Of course
source,
there is.
and
Of
whatever you want to
course.
call that, whether you call that God or the creator or the universe or what,
Especially in what we do, being that we're
firm
spiritual,
believers,
yeah,
firm
firm
believers.
believers, being that we're spiritualists, we definitely believe in the universe, and we're children of the universe, and there's a creator, and there's greater power up out there. Of course, being mediums, we believe in that, and that's not no, not only do we believe in that just to believe it, we know it to be true.
There's no doubt in
We
that.
know it to be true.
It's just that there's a lot of organizations that take advantage of people for their
Exactly.
own gain. And
Exactly.
that's unfortunately what a
And
lot of organizations
religion
do.
has taken advantage. Religion has, it's been man-made religion.
Absolutely.
It's not pure the way spirituality was meant to be pure.
Exactly. April Dawn Took says the government and beings working with government don't want us to realize our true power. That's why there's also extra dimensional ones trying to help us see and look within ourselves to see and realize our power. And
Right.
April, I think that there is a lot of merit to what you just said right there. I've always had the feeling, and I'm glad you brought that up, that the reason that they haven't just basically shown up and said, "Hey, we're here," is that they want us to come to our own conclusions, to finally reason out the idea that there's no possibility that we're just alone here on this rock. That they want us to look towards the skies, that they want us to understand the ancient teachings, they want us to look at you know prehistory and things that we can't explain, and eventually come to our own conclusion. And that's what it really comes down to.
A couple of comments that I want to read. I know Linda Marquis says, I've been seeing quite a lot of these X's in the sky type of chemtrails. Yep, definitely that's what you'll notice. You'll notice they look like X's in the sky, grids, trails in the sky like that. They look like just like grids in the sky. And then Tracy Neri says, do aliens, and I'm going to see what your answer on this one is. It says, do aliens really have an interest in human life or on Earth? What do you think?
Yes, I can only go by psychic sense here and what I've seen and what I've experienced myself. Um, I really feel that they do have an interest in this. I always get the impression on that level that we're kind of like the new kids on the block. We're the young ones, and it's our job to eventually come into a certain realization that's going to allow us to become part of the neighborhood. And right now, we're still not quite there. I think we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at any of the reports, and I'll go into some quick things here, you look at any of the reports about nuclear weapons, the way that this has gone, there's dozens of reports of, you know, alien craft or UFOs appearing over these nuclear stations, and then all of a sudden the power will turn out
Mm-hmm.
in these stations once there's a launch code, or they'll start a launch code and then stop it right before it goes full circle. And I think that that's them saying you're playing with toys that you don't understand. You don't understand the damage that you're really going to do. And I think that that's the reason in a lot of these cases that we haven't blown ourselves up yet. Let's be honest. We have lunatics in power in so many different places. I'm not just talking about the United States. I'm talking about, all around the, look at North Korea, God forbid. I mean, there's people out there who have their finger on the button and they're ready to win the pissing match with everybody out there. And for some reason, it never happened.
Yeah.
And why is that? If it was up to these lunatics, we'd all be dead right now. Who is stopping this from happening?
Yeah,
That's my question.
that's true. Okay, a couple of comments that I want to read. Rachel Green says, I keep seeing what looks like a moving star cruising across the entire sky at night. Seen once, twice in the past month. That doesn't surprise me. Those are a lot of the same things that a lot of people experience. They look up and they see these cruising looking type stars, different colors. I've actually read a couple of articles on people that have seen that. I don't know if you want to, if you do your research, Rachel, you'll see that there's a lot of people experiencing things like that, just moving, cruising across the sky, and sometimes they split into more than one. They split into more than one, and it becomes like a flock of these moving lights that move across the sky. I've actually seen that myself. Um, One time when we were taking a road trip. Couple years back, we were on our way to Vegas, and we stopped in the desert of Arizona. Well, not we didn't stop there, but we were going through, and it was at night. And as you know, Arizona, a lot of activity in the desert there. And we actually saw. I was with my ex at the time, and we saw these lights in the sky moving from one side to the other. And so, yeah, that was pretty crazy. There's another comment that I want to read from Ken Harrington. Says, the trails indent I remember was at night camping near Sebastian Inlet, Florida, with a group, long streams of glowing pink. They stayed and slowly dissipated over the hour. Never saw any reports on whatever it was. Of course, you didn't see reports. I don't think
Yeah,
there would
they
have.
never will. It's amazing when you talk to whether it has to do with chemtrails or UFO sightings or things like that. Try to get in touch with somebody about that and see if they're willing to report these things.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, the only time that they'll ever report these things on the news or any other outlet is if it's something that was a mass sighting that they can't just make go away. And then, have you ever noticed that there's always a logical explanation for what happened?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
it's the tail to a meteor. It's a tail to a comet. Oh,
always.
that was swamp gas slowly floating through. How many times have you guys seen swamp gas floating through the air? Let's be honest. I mean, come on. The governments feed us the worst possible lines,
It's true.
and it's insulting, guys. It's insulting if you think about what they try to give you and tell you it is. And so many people sadly just go, yeah, I guess if the government tells me it is,
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yeah.
It's not, guys. It's not. Whatever you think it is, it's not what they're telling you. I promise you that. You look at the sighting that happened over the airport in Chicago at O'Hare. You know, there was literally hundreds, if not thousands, of witnesses to a UFO that just hovered over the top
Oh yeah.
of the airport. And so many people saw it. And guess what happened right behind that? They tried to downplay the whole thing right off the bat. And several of those people were contacted by government or other agencies and told that if they opened their mouth about the situation, including pilots, that they would lose their jobs and possibly their lives. So, you know, there's something to it, guys. And I think
Mm-hmm.
people just don't want to look at the reality of the
Um,
situation.
hey, Molly Gillette's watching.
Hey,
Hi, Molly,
Molly.
how you doing? And she says, yes, the documentary called Unacknowledged on Netflix talks about ETs and nukes. So she's talking about what, what you were.
The Stan
Mhm.
Romanek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm mentioned in there. It's a quick mention, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentioned in there. But um, yeah, fascinating story, fascinating story. I want to read another one by David Milby.
Yes.
It says, in the paranormal field that we are in and the interest in conspiracy stuff that we are talking about tonight is telling me I'm not the only whistleblower out there. You guys are great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, David.
David.
You
Thank
know,
you.
David, we sometimes try to tread a little bit lightly because you have to be careful what you're putting out there. You know, you do make yourself a target in a lot of these cases. But from what we experienced this weekend, the reading, the messages that came through were so riveting and important and strong. And I see,
And the energy, side note, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but the energy when we were doing this reading, the energy was just different when you're dealing with other worldly beings, you know,
yeah,
it's just
it's
crazy.
incredible when you hear that energy come through the device. It's very different when you use the ghost box and you're actually able to hear, you know, quote unquote extraterrestrial voice come through there. And you see the effect that the Romanek family and the whole clan up there, you know, their need to disclose and the integrity that they've shown doing it, and this terrible price that they're paying for it. Um, Guys, this is real. This is real stuff.
You're very, see, I'm not soft spoken and you are, so you need to keep projecting, Moonie.
Okay.
They say your voice goes in and out. They said not D. D's always loud.
Right. Sorry, guys. I just we need a better microphone.
No, you're just very soft spoken, David.
Okay. Victoria says it's always what you think it is, except most take the most basic excuse because down they don't want to know. Deep down they don't want to know out of fear or misunderstanding. Totally agree. I mean, it's easy to live with inside the box, guys. We can pretend like nothing's happening out there, and we can watch our TV shows on NBC each night, and you know, listen to what the news tells us and believe it. And I'm sure that existence is wonderful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you can do that, but a lot of us out there have minds that go beyond that, that expand beyond it and say, wait a minute, no, I don't want to know what this BS is. I want to know what the truth is. And I want to know
Hmm.
why you're trying to feed us this line. What's really going on? We're not in a position, they used to say, the reason that disclosure didn't happen is because the humans couldn't handle the truth. They couldn't handle the information, and everyone would, commit mass suicide. It was going to be War of the Worlds all over again. And no, guys, our minds have been opened more than enough to be able to accept the realities of what might be out there.
Exactly. Um, Here's another question, and I know you and I have the same answer to this question, and we have the same opinion because we've had several talks about it, you and I, Chris. So I'm going to let you answer it because you can speak for both you and I on our opinion. Tammy Komodowski says, "Do you think the U.S. government is working closely with aliens?" I'm going to let you take this one because we think the same way on
Yeah,
this.
not just the
I'll
U.S.
be right back.
government, absolutely, not just the U.S. government, but the world governments, the shadow governments. Guys, you got to realize, and you can't state it as fact unless you've got proof. But from most of us out there, really know the world is not run by the leaders that we have in place. The world is run by a very small, 1% that's out there. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about power. They fund both sides of every war. They control everything that happens on TV. They cause the cancer that makes you buy the medication and the chemotherapy that will help you cure the cancer just so that you can die, and that can happen again. It's an on and on. It rolls on and on. And I really believe that this power that's out there has a system in place. And once again, going back to what I just said here before, um, they think they're in control. And my psychic vibe, whatever you want to look at it as, is that they are not in control at all. And I think they're starting to realize that they're not in control, and it scares them. So they're desperately trying to hold on to what they can. Um, if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, guys, I can almost promise you that in the coming years, we're going to find out a lot of the truth that's out there. And it's going to shock a lot of people. It's going to shock a lot of individuals who didn't think this was a possibility. Us psychic, weird, woo-woo, metaphysical people might be right. We might be onto something, and it's really a sad thing. And Nicole brings it up, Illuminati. If you guys don't believe that the Illuminati exists, I'm sorry, because there's just too many facts that there is this group that's out there that's basically controlled things for a very, very, very long time. And the leaders that we have in power right now are merely just faces. They're puppets. They're things to distract us from what's really going on behind the scenes. And it's very hard on a psychic level, on an empathic level, to sit back and just experience what's happening around the world, the things that are happening to all these people, the terrible atrocities that are happening today, which are much worse than even in years past. And we tend to just ignore those things because it's inconvenient. But that's why Dee and I decided to come out tonight and talk about something completely different. We're always about spirituality, higher consciousness, helping each other. But when I woke up this morning, and Dee noticed that the implant on my arm had been cracked open again, and she was able to pull uh, some bio thing string out of my arm. It reminds you again, this is real. You're being contacted by these individuals for a very reason. I'm going to read a couple more comments here. Delcy Cook says they are right. They have always been informed empathically. They cannot control that information. Exactly. Um, let's see here. Yes, so true when you're an empath. Um, what do you guys think about the Georgia Guidestones? Different show, Amber, but yeah, I think it's very, very interesting how that goes. Yeah. So Dee's walking back on camera right now. Amber, she says she wants to make that its own show, but definitely bring that up again because we will make that an
Georgia
entire show.
Guidestones, definitely. Yes,
Incredible
we
stuff.
have to talk about that. We do.
Kyle Merriman says Illuminati is very much real. Looking between the lines with the pick on us and the Canadian dollars, logos, everything. Yeah, it's interesting, guys, because if you really get deep into this stuff, if you really dig into it and you want to know, there's clues everywhere. There's clues, and I really think that they might be given by these other entities. I think they might be trying to say, "Hey, guys, open your eyes, pay attention. It's not what you think it is."
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Yeah, and Nicole says Illuminati can make your life miserable. Absolutely, they can. They seem to control the majority of everything. What's the symbol of the Illuminati we're talking about today with the hand?
Oh, there's different ones though.
Yeah.
There's not just that
Usually
one.
we see
Yeah.
this one. Let's see if I'm doing it in front of the camera. This is you
Yeah.
usually see it pointed downwards.
Pointed downwards.
If you look, a lot of people do this symbol now, who are famous in power, things along
Oh,
those lines. It's usually, from what we've been seeing, it's their sign that they are one with the cause. They're
yeah.
one with.
Or you see pictures where they're they do the one eye picture, they do the one thing on the eye,
Hmm.
or
Yeah, there's a lot of different symbols that they use to basically say that they're part of the gang. Yeah, it's a gang symbol, really, is what it is. And if you know, there's a lot of
they
artists
cover
now.
one eye.
Cover one eye. There's a lot of artists that are out there now that very famous. They're very well liked. They're rich. They've got a lot of good things going for them. And then all of a sudden they'll speak out against the Illuminati.
Oh,
And when they do that, suddenly their lives become total hell. Some of them don't even survive it. So it's interesting to see how that all works. But you can go online. There's been several artists who've spoken out against it
mm-hmm.
and see what they're saying, and they write a lot of songs about that as well. They talk about joining in, and then later on in other albums, they'll talk about how they've pulled out of that situation, and usually it doesn't bode well for them later on.
The triangle and the all-seeing eye. But the thing is that symbol is used by other people as well. See, sometimes they take it and but the triangle and the all-seeing eye, the triangle pyramid, that's a power. That's a and that's also it can also be used when doing ritual work and doing things like that. Not bad ritual work, protection ritual work, good ritual work when you work in the light, because the pyramid is just that structure, sort of raises the vibration and raises the what's the word I'm looking for, baby? Yeah, and raises that the energy and makes, helps balance things out. The all seeing eye, same thing, but that's why they take that and they use it to their. So it's one of those symbols that can be used by both sides, you know.
Yeah.
It's you got to really know, and when you dig deep and you look into it, you got to really know and really watch, because not all the pyramids and all seeing eyes you see out there are going to be Illuminati. It gets confusing and it gets, it gets dangerous.
And I've seen a lot of this. A lot of people in here are basically saying, "Hey, be careful." A lot of people disappear when you talk about this, all these kinds of things. We would be doing a disservice to ourselves and you guys if we didn't talk about this. Um,
If you guys see that Moonie and Dee disappear, you know why.
yeah, in all seriousness, if suddenly something happens, here we are right now.
Yeah, here
So
we are now.
somebody
You all can.
save this video right now because this video will disappear. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
If they feel that this is a threat to anything, if they feel that we're revealing too much information or saying any of these things that will cause problems for them, it'll go bye bye. That's just the way that this goes, and I think you guys have seen that a lot. Um, so we're putting it out there, and we're gonna see where it goes from here. But that's why we're talking to you guys about this tonight. I know it's not our normal topic, but we wanted to touch base on it because we really do feel like it's that important.
I want to read this comment from Delisi Cook. She says, David Icke, which actually he does talk about all this stuff. I like listening to and watching a lot of stuff that he has out there. David Icke might seem crazy, but that's what the powers that be want you to believe. It takes the brave souls to stand and make those opposing any confrontation accountable. It's true. They don't want us to talk about it. That's true. Ricky Dot says they don't want us to talk about it. David Milby says, I feel that the government is hiding a bunch of information, and I feel that are slowly but surely are releasing the truth. And with so much evidence out there, the government will open up within a year or two to what they know about. They don't want total chaos. It's true. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, they are releasing little bits of information along with disinformation, because that way it sort of washes their hands clean and they say, well, we've let you all know. But the thing is, they let us know and they release also disinformation so that the people still remain confused.
Right.
And then they can't say that they didn't warn us. They'll say, no, we warned you. We put the truth out there. But the fact is that they put it out there along with disinformation and it confuses everybody. So in a sense, they've stayed hidden in plain sight, which is their biggest thing. hidden in plain sight. That's how they do things. That's exactly how they work.
Well, and it's always been said that that's how the devil works, mixing truth with lies.
It's
And, that,
true.
and that's the greatest way to deceive people is to just mix truth and lies and make you have to guess what's real and what's not. And again, accountability, they can always go back and say, no, we told you. We've already told you about this. You should have listened to this and not that. So there's a lot of different things that they'll do.
Real quick question just from me. I just want to know, if you guys are enjoying this show. I know it's a little bit different. We usually do readings. I want to know if you guys are intrigued and if you're enjoying this topic, this talk, and going back and forth with us. It's just we really wanted to come on and do a topic show and a discussion with you guys. Just let us know if you're enjoying this, and because we want to do more of these like this. Not that we're going to stop doing readings,
Right.
reading shows. We're still going to do those, but we just have so much that we like covering on paranormal. And remember, paranormal covers the paranormal umbrella covers so many different topics. So there's a lot of things that we'd love to always.
Molly loves it. Donna loves it. Um, Kyle loves it. I'm just going by the people that are coming back on opinions if they're enjoying the show, if they
Awesome.
Diane. So yeah, I'm glad you guys do. It's really cool, with our box talkers because I feel that our diehards that are out there, not just the people who kind of scan by really quickly, but the ones who are really into the show and into the topics and like to hang out with us, are open-minded enough to, listen to what we have to say. We're not trying to force any opinions on you guys.
Exactly.
We're basically saying, here's the information that we have now, take it and do what you want with it. But for those who are really, thank you guys for all the love.
Thank you.
But for those of you who are out there, let's do this, guys. Let's form a little bit of a cause here. Let's start taking pictures. Let's start filming. Let's start talking about these things. Let's put it out publicly. Not just one or two of us, but everybody in here. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody you can. Hey, just start putting this information out because if there's a large number of us doing this and the word spreads, they're not going to be able to stop it.
Scott Edwards, who I think might be one of our new viewers, he wants to know, are you guys on every day or is there a schedule? Actually, unfortunately, it would be fun if we were on every day, but we're not. We're very busy. We broadcast on Wednesday nights, and our time used to be 7:30 Central. It's now become we decided to move it to 9:30 Central, right?
Right.
So we're gonna make our permanent time as long as I just have to okay it. It used to be 7:30, then we went to 8:30 Central, but I'm thinking that it just for the way our lives are back home and everything that we have got
And I
on our
think we
plate,
reach a larger audience,
we do
honestly,
reach
around this time.
a larger audience during this time. So we're gonna try to see if we can make it official of doing continuing Wednesdays, but doing it 9:30 Central. That would be 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, 8:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 Pacific. That's a good time for everybody. So yeah, that's what we're gonna try to continue doing. But yeah, we come out on Wednesdays.
And if you guys don't mind, if you're having fun, please share the video to your timeline. Let everybody know what we're talking about tonight. See if they might want to chime in on the discussion and see if they have something to offer or maybe an opposing opinion. It's
Hmm.
okay to come in here too and say, hey, I think you guys are lunatics. There's nothing to it whatsoever. Uh, the government, President Trump tells us everything that we need to know. That's okay too. We want to hear that though. We want to
Yeah.
hear, both sides of the story.
Um, Ricky Dot says, keep your eyes open and don't be closed minded. That's true. We got to keep our eyes open. Donna McNamara says, we have to help wake up the world. You are absolutely right, Donna. We do. We have to help. That's the thing. That's the theme. Wake up. Know what's happening around you. Look up. Like my dad used to say, look up and notice the things that are happening instead of being like this all day. And we're all guilty of it, but notice what's happening around. Notice what we're putting into our bodies. Notice how they're manufacturing everything and the chemicals that they're putting into everything that we put into our bodies. Even the stuff we use, products that we use for our skin, for our hair, and I know a lot of people, when I've talked about this before, they tell me that I sound like a crazy paranoid person. The thing is, it's the truth, guys. It's the absolute truth. I mean, just the way food is manufactured, the way in the farm, at the farms, the way they oh my gosh, it's crazy. Once you start really researching into the way they're doing everything, there's nothing, even organic stuff isn't really organic.
Right.
It's crazy. You're just say pretty much the safest way to go is just grow your own food, make, it's That's
Yeah,
the
it's
safest.
almost impossible, but yeah, it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I want to read what Lisa Marie Rafola, who's one of
Mhm.
our great friends and clients, said.
Mhm.
I feel that you become the conduit and are getting channeled message, an important message that needs to be delivered, then delivered it. You both have been chosen to deliver all of this information. Thank you, Lisa Marie. We appreciate it because that's almost what we feel like today. We were talking about our show on driving up to North Denver and talking about angel numbers and what do we
Yeah,
want to
it's
discuss
true.
tonight. And then we looked up. Well, the first thing that happened was this thing on my arm, and I don't
Mhm.
know if you guys can
And
see
it's
this.
completely healed now. That's the crazy
Yeah,
thing. I don't know if you can show them. There's a scar there, but I mean, it was bleeding.
yeah. And
And
we
I
could see
pulled
this
out
like a wire
yeah,
almost.
it was. I swear to God, guys, I pulled out a wire from his arm. It was a little wire. Pulled it out. I put it away in a napkin, which we left in the car. Which I should that way we could have showed them what it was. You had a little wire sticking out of your arm, and right in front of our eyes, uh, right in front of our face, it just quickly you know what it looked like, guys, and this is crazy, and I know you guys are gonna say Moonie is Wolverine, hashtag Moonie Wolverine, but I swear to you it healed like Wolverine after I that's exactly what happened. You're Wolverine. Oh no, but that's actually kind of sexy. But anyways, all joking aside, guys, he healed up. I plucked it out. It was bleeding, and it just in front of. I was like, "Wow!" And he's like, "Yep, like you've seen that happen to your arm before." So he wasn't surprised. He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna heal right now." And sure enough, it just closed up and healed. It was
Well, and
crazy.
we even talked about it. There was another little piece of the wire that was sticking out. And I said, we better get that right now because there's a good chance it'll be gone. And it wasn't a minute later that it was already sucked back into my
Yeah,
arm.
it was.
And I know a lot of you are probably sitting there going, these people are insane.
Yeah,
But I swear to you guys, we wouldn't make this. It's too dumb to make up. I mean, it really is. And what's interesting is we're staying at my parents' house right now while we're in Colorado. We're staying with Mama Moon and Papa Moon, and we're in the basement where some of my first experiences started down here, and we're this will be a show in itself when we get to talk about everything that's happened
hmm
here. But staying in the basement and doing all these kind of crazy things, and yeah, it was interesting because I talked to Dee and I said, I really had trouble sleeping last night, and I woke up at a really weird time, and
yeah.
I
This is
I,
true.
I really believe it was them, whoever you want to think them was, doing whatever this surgery, pulling, putting, whatever
And
they were
I had
doing.
a rough night last night
Yeah,
too.
and we just had a very strange night, but to find that in the morning was like, wow, here we go. And again, this is directly after a reading for someone in the Romanek family this weekend, giving an extreme and dire warning
Warning. And
to,
I mean, because this reading just happened, and then this happened to you, and the first thought I had when I saw that on his arm, and I saw the wire sticking out, he's like, "Wow, this hasn't been messed with in years." And I told him, I said, "We just did the reading for somebody in the Romanek family, so you know."
David Milby says, be safe on your travels, and I just want to say to you to have a great bright aura on how you complete each other's comments. Great team. God led you to find the same path. Bless your hearts. Thank you so much, David. That's how we feel
That's how
too.
we feel.
We really do feel that. We're very close. We're both fiery. We don't always see eye to eye,
But that's
but
okay.
that's okay. We get along. We make a good team. We think we
You love
do.
me?
I love you. You
Yeah.
happy?
Yeah.
All right. Um, Ricky Dodd wants to know about the thing in my arm. Was it a blue thread? He wants to know if it was a blue thread. It wasn't blue from what I could tell. It was more of a off white.
Off-white with a little red tint in it. So I know what he's getting at. I think you're thinking of the wires that are blue and red, the Morgellons. I think that's what he's thinking. But this wasn't Morgellons. This was more of it was a small little device that you've been implanted with.
Right. Right. And it's in both
That's what
arms.
it was.
It's in both.
And you can
Let me
feel it.
see.
I wish they could feel this.
I'm gonna try to put these up high. If you guys
It's
can see, I don't know if I'm doing this right because it's on a delay, but if you guys can see
keep it up long
where
enough
it's
so I
at,
can
you can see that they're on opposite arms. You
can
see up a
pick it
little
up
bit,
higher. Higher.
opposite arms, and they're identically in the same exact spot. And whoever they are, mess with these things on a consistent basis, and it changes all the time for me. Um, I've noticed that my psychic abilities jump up and down with it. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that my moods jump up and down with it, and even my relationships change when these things happen. So it's intriguing, it's amazing, but it's also very invasive, and it feels very strange to have these things happening. So who knows?
I want to read a few of these comments that are on here because they're really interesting. And I just want to say, guys, it's not the audio because nobody's complaining about my audio. It's my gorgeous man here is very soft spoken. He's not loud like me.
No, I'm definitely not. And when we used to do the show in separate locations, we had microphones on our headsets, so it's a little bit different. And we're on a laptop right
And
now.
I don't need a microphone.
No, Dee doesn't need a microphone ever. So
What do you say it like that?
you've got a loud voice,
Oh,
but
does
it's
it
not
bother
bad.
you?
No, no, you've got a good voice.
Okay, so I'm going to read a few of these comments that are really interesting. Denise Kennedy says, my father was a lifer in the Air Force as a pilot and teacher. When I was in high school, I find him listening to hours of reel-to-reel tapes of atmosphere white noise sounds from the Air Force files, just listening for any anomalies. Yeah, I believe. And people in the Air Force, military, and all that, of course, a lot of them, that's what
Oh
they
yeah,
would do. That's their job to track and listen and look out for things like that.
deathbed confessions are amazing from a lot of people who've been in the military and Air Force. It's incredible.
hmm Now, Delisi Cook says, I just watched a video of people being arrested feeding homeless people. It's illegal to feed the homeless in some states. They say it's to help stop HEPA, hepatitis A. How terribly sad. People are being fined. That's another way of, yeah, that's terrible. That's another topic there as well. The way the government is starting to, just these laws and these things, and it's a form of population control.
It really is.
It is. It really is.
I want to read another Lisa Marie comment. She says, the doctor has looked at these moon. Yeah, Lisa, I've had several doctors look at them. The first person I went to was an allergist, and she came back. She glanced at them, didn't really touch or look. She said, oh, it's a bite. And I said, it's impossible that it's a bite. So I went to another doctor who was actually kind enough to dig into these things. And when he took his scalpel and tried to get to the center of what this might be, thinking it was some sort of, natural thing, said that it looked metallic and it would move every time that he would try to use the scalpel. So it would actually move away from the device, from the knife.
I just want to, I know this is, we throw funnies,
Yeah.
comments. Somebody made a funny comment about your thing, this handcuffs too tight.
No, no, she's very kind with the
I'm very
handcuffs.
kind to the
She's
handcuffs.
very kind. We have the safeguard.
Clancy says, I just watched Patient 17 on Netflix today. This can't be coincidence. Synchronicity.
It has synchronicity. Ricky Dodd, my stepfather was in the military and he knew I had questions, but he could never answer. And he said anything I wanted to know, they had access to or have
Oh,
discovered.
I believe
There
it.
you go. I mean, there's truth just in that blanket statement. Hey, everything that you want to know, it's already out there. It's already we've got this. We know this.
hmm Crazy. Yeah, all these things. It's I love all the handcuffs.
Yeah, we'll go past that. Kyle says the weird static on phones, walkie-talkie, shortwave radios. It's scary. Kyle, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, and I don't think I really got into this in the book. I can't even remember what I wrote now. It's been so long. But on the Romanek investigation up north, we had military helicopters show up when we turned the ghost box on to try to discover what was happening. I mean, you can't deny uh, one of these helicopters flying over the top of you. And the sound that came over the box was this deafening high pitched screech that was so bad we had to shut the box down. But they were trying to stop the communication. They did not want us to be able to communicate with these entities that were out there and gain more information and knowledge. So it's real, guys. It's real.
So Kyle Merriman says, me and me dad have UFO experience sent to you on your page. It's scary. Kyle, what page did you send it to so I can go get it and read it? And I'll read it on air right now. We still have a few minutes to go, right?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Tonight's subject's important, guys. We're not just hanging out talking about spiritual stuff. We're talking about something that I think affects every human being, animal, insect on this planet. It's there's some real stuff going on here, guys, and I think it's important that we got to get the word out about this and hopefully get some people to pay attention. And if we reach one person tonight that starts looking towards the sky, taking pictures, grabbing video, and just questioning what's going on, we've done our job.
Oh, definitely. I absolutely agree. I think and with all the people that are on with us right now tonight, if everybody starts to become more aware of what's happening, of the chemtrails, of these cloaked these clouds, cloaking technology that you can actually see the discs in there, and they're just using cloaking technology, and they think we're so stupid that we're gonna, oh yeah, that's actually a cloud. But you if you really pay attention, guys, if you really look up, you'll see that all the activity that's going on above us and things that they're not telling us about.
Right.
It's we need to be aware of it.
I want to read another comment by Denise Kennedy. I have a few friends, she's a good friend of ours, by the way. I
Mm-hmm.
have a few friends that have shared they had unexplained missing time when they were young. One of them described that there was some sort of cellular tape material like cassette tape with a metal piece attached. Not to be too graphic, it was his father dug it out of his nasal cavity. Exactly. These things happen all the time. I know that I'm an experiencer or a victim, however you want to look at it, of missing time. And it's a real thing, and it's scary, guys. It's scary. You feel very much out of control. As human beings, we like to feel like we're in control of everything that happens to us, and to know that there's something not necessarily spiritually higher, but a being that's actually able to affect these things. It's a scary scenario, and I really would like to know the truth.
Kyle. Okay, so I'm gonna take a moment to read Kyle's experiences. Denise Garcia, I was up on Elliott Lake here in Canada, up north, for a camping trip with the family and my neighbors who came up with us. It was around 11 p.m. at night. We were roasting hot dogs at the fire. We were about 30 feet from the lake, where there was people gathering and saying, "Look up at that sky." A bunch of us went over to see what was going on. Four bright lights just appeared, glowing and maneuvering very fast and in a non-natural way. They were pulsating and formed into a triangle-shaped pattern. They were giving off a weird light SOS type pattern, like they were trying to say something in some type of illuminating light language. A couple disappeared, and then two shot into view like a meteor. Lasted about 15 minutes. Then they began disappearing very strangely. We heard on the radio back at tent that hundreds of people reported seeing the strange.
The strange lights of unknown origin in the sky. Amazing
Wow.
story, Kyle. One thing that I've seen is that there have been a lot of experiences up in Canada. A lot of people have had mass sightings up in that area, and usually over water, which brings up the craft that come from beneath the water that actually shoot out from the water up into the sky. And it's believed that there's a lot of these, whatever you want to call them, bases or whatever the case might be, underneath the
Mm-hmm.
oceans and lakes that are out there today. So that doesn't shock me at all. But that's an amazing account. In my first experience that I remember, and you can read this in the book in Ghost Box if you guys are interested. But a friend of mine and I were just, hanging out as people do, and we were just kind of laying out on the car, looking up at the sky, and looking at the star formations, which Dee likes to
Mm-hmm.
do all the time, and just kind of checking things out and noticing things. And we noticed that what looked like a triangle shape of stars suddenly shifted and it turned. And at that point, we realized that can't be stars. There's no
Mm-hmm.
possibility. About that point, these little dim orbs started shooting out from the bottom of this thing and started coming down over the tops of the cars, very close to the cars. And that's when we took off. And then that's when I actually had my first incident of missing time.
Wow.
Was after that, and the clock was different. The car was on and then off. It was crazy. And my friend, I remember shaking him, and he woke up
Sort of
like,
like he was in a
yeah, he was
trance.
in a complete trance. And he looked at me like, What's going on? And we looked
Wow.
around, and we were half a mile from that location, right down by the park where we are right now. We started up way up the street. We ended up down by the park and
So, and there was just that
missing
block
time.
of time
It was
just
about an
completely
hour,
missing.
about an hour
Wow.
that was gone. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I just want to let you know, I know we were talking about how we reached just one person, and actually I'm scrolling through the comments and I see thank Lee Joyce Cope Simpkins says, "Thank you for opening my eyes to this." So I just want to say you're welcome, and I'm glad. It makes me happy to see that some people are now going to be more aware of,
Right.
things like this in this subject. Um, let's see. Oh, Philip Wyatt, our friend Philip Wyatt, he's a friend of ours,
Yes.
says even MUFON people will tell you it's clouds. That is true. I have read that there are some people that work for MUFON that just say, you know what, it's just cause, just cause. But a lot of times they too are sworn to secrecy, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of those people are in those organizations for disinformation.
Exactly.
So,
Scott Kilgore says, I've been walking every day for the past 4 months, was bedridden for 20 years. I'm in Nevada. have been taking pictures every day of the chemtrails here. Let me know if you or anyone wants them. They've been doing it by the sun lately, so most people won't look. And actually, at night, you see them right by the moon as well. Scott Kilgore, I'm gonna put, I don't know if you want to put our Box Talk page on the comments, or I'll put it in there as well.
Sure.
But Scott, if you could like our Box Talk fan page, it's Box Talk with Moonie and Dee on Facebook, or if any of our Box Talkers that are in there that have the link to our Box Talk, if you could drop that in the comments, guys, so that Scott Kilgore could or even message me, or just message us on Box Talk and put the pictures up, and we'll post them up on our Box Talk Facebook page, just to get the word out there and get more people talking about this.
Delcy Cook had something interesting. What I found very unjust regarding the recent disclosure of UFOs is the many people who were denied their truth, and in speaking out, they were demonized for it. They lost credibility, their jobs, their families. They lost so much, and they need their credibility back. It's true. And unfortunately, those are the lucky ones. Those are the ones that were still alive. Like Bob Lazar. I'm surprised he's still breathing at this point. It's just amazing to me because he came out about his work at Area 51 and really described everything that took place, drew diagrams of how anti-propulsion worked and all sorts of different things. And he was bastardized by the
Yeah.
UFO community for it. Everyone said that he was a liar, and for no reason. There was really no reason for it. He was able to provide more credentials than anyone else ever has, but for some reason he was a liar. So it's just amazing to watch how these higher authorities are able to demonize and bastardize these individuals who come out and talk about these things.
Victoria Yanez Hernandez says, what was the name of the documentary that is supposed to be on Netflix? And I think she's talking about the documentary that mentions you and the work with Stan Romanek.
Stan, I always forget the name of it. It's actually in the comments. If one of you guys could put that in there, I cannot remember the name of the documentary that Stan has out there. But it's worth the watch. Like I said, in all honesty, when it came out, I felt like it was fairly watered down and a little long-winded. But there's a lot of good information in there, and I do suggest watching it.
Bill Betts says, you know about Area 51? There are 52 and 53. Check it out.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely, yeah. Guys, keep reading. There's some information out there that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of people who go pretty extreme. They get the tinfoil hats on and stuff like that. But somewhere the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Of the extreme side of this, and then there's nothing at all. There's something out there. That's X-Files, right? I want to believe there really is something, that kind of thing. But it's true. It really is.
And Melissa Elmer says, what about FEMA camps?
Wow.
That's a whole other.
Yeah, don't even get us started on that.
Yeah, don't even get us started on the FEMA camps thing. That's a whole other. That we can definitely make that a topic for another show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Clancy did just give the name again. It's called
Extraordinary. That's
the Stan Romanek story. Yeah, and again, guys, one more time, disclosure on that one. Fascinating. There's a lot of good evidence in there, but I wish to God that I could share the video that I first saw that day with Stan with you guys, because the information and the evidence that was presented to me that day and my father, much, much more interesting than what came out in the documentary. I just wish to God I could get my hands on that thing, because, if you guys could see that, it would change your view immediately of all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I'm reading the comments off of your phone.
I know, I'm reading about it right now, too. Kyle brought up the Bermuda Triangle. That's another one that we're going to get into. I know that touches on the UFO conspiracy, but we're going to get into that in a future show. There's just so many different topics. And again, guys, the reason that we kind of came out today with what we talked about was just strictly because of the experience that we had this morning and what we saw today. And I think Lisa Marie's right. I think that she was really, there goes Steve. I think that we were given information that we were supposed to pass along tonight, so that's why we did what we did.
Exactly. That's exactly why we wanted to have this show tonight, because of what we. Oh, look, Nicole SJ says, this is the first time hearing about chemtrails. Nicole, this is something that has been going on for years. It's been more prevalent in the recent years. It's been very obvious in our face, in the past very recent years, but it's been going on for a long time now. and there's reports out there. There's actual official documented reports that are out there on what is being sprayed, and it's dangerous, and it's yeah.
I want to read this really quick by Scott Kilgore before it goes away.
I read it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, the pictures.
No. Okay, sorry. I just saw that again. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, guys, Ricky Dodd, Men in Black are at the door. LOL, just kidding. Guys, if the Men in Black show up at your door, we'll all do this. Let's make this a group effort. Take pictures first, upload them as fast as you can, then whatever happens, happens, guys. But get those pictures out. Let us see the Men in Black, and then we'll talk to you through the box if need be.
Guys, if we go missing after tonight's show, you guys will know.
That's how it goes, guys. That's how it is. But yeah, guys. So really quickly, just wanted to do for a wrap up away from what we're talking about. We are going to be in Bentonsport, Iowa this weekend at the Mason House Inn doing a Ghost Hunter University event. I think that there are, if we pack the place, I think there's about 7 spots left for that thing. So if you guys are interested in going to that, definitely masonhouseinn.com. You can find the information on how to sign up for the event. You can also get readings from me, Mama Moonie Dee. We're going to be offering a new kind of reading, which should be very, very interesting. We're not going to get into that tonight. We'll talk more about it in the future.
Talk about it in the future. We might even do a live. Guys, look out for, we may be doing a Facebook live stream, if not tomorrow, Friday for sure. And we're going to talk about some new things that we're doing. Well, it's not new for me. I've been doing this for a long time. It's just new. It's something that I'm going to be offering for clients now. It's something I've always done for myself, done for those close to me. I've done this for you. I've done, this is something I've been doing this for years, but it's just a new thing that I decided, okay, I'll start offering it. It's another way of helping and offering that, and we'll get into that. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. Thanks, Gene. And then we're going to be in Boston at NAC Nationals coming up the following week. So should be interesting, should be exciting, should be fun. We head back to South Texas right after NAC Nationals. We'll be down there for a little while, and you'll be seeing more of us. The show should become a little bit more regular.
Yes.
And a little more high quality, hopefully, right?
Yes.
You should be able to hear me for once. But
well, because our office is echoey.
Our office is echoey, so it's a little bit easier. Yeah, it should work out pretty well. But yeah, guys, so for tonight, thank you all for tuning in, hanging out with us. Again, please share the video if you don't mind. And I love you guys.
Love you guys. So, yeah, that's it for tonight, right?
Right.
Keep looking up, be aware of what's happening. Go research these topics that we talked about tonight. And I'm just going to say smile, and remember to make someone else smile too. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.